bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Welcome, Fade to Black. How you doing? Today is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and tonight is going to be one of those shows. We're talking dreams of the lucid kind tonight. And now, not all lucid dreaming. We could spend hours on that. But when you have somebody on the show like Robert Wagner, I've got other questions, too, that I need to get to. And it's all about getting to that knowledge and learning something. And we'll be doing all of that tonight with Robert Wagner. Tomorrow night on Fade to Black, Geraldine Orozco is with us. And we are going to be talking about life force mastery, your life force mastery. What a great way to wrap up the week tomorrow night, too, as well. And now, help support the show. You know what to do. Get yourself a Fade to Black T-shirt. Everything is signed. Everything includes shipping. There's 2 ways to get them, and the links for that are below. And you can also become a game changer. And if you do that, you get your shirt and you get Fade to Black Blend coffee. So good. My picture is on it. Yeah, River Moon Coffee. And so what I was going to say, we'll talk about dreaming in a second. I wanted to share, I've been wanting to do this for a minute now, but it's been escaping me. But everything wrapped up last night for me. So it is the TV show Killing Eve. All right, now, 4 seasons starring Sandra Oh as Eve. 4 seasons, and that's it. There is no 5th season because, spoiler alert, somebody dies at the end of season 4. And I've got to tell you, because of dreams, and the way that show is done, I've spent the last 2 weeks binging all 4 seasons, and I haven't been talking about it on the show. But after I wrap every night on Fade to Black, I obviously I have dinner, but then I kind of wind down, and the show ends late. I'm on adrenaline and everything else. I've got to calm down. I've got to get in there. And so after the show, I've been watching Killing Eve, which has influenced 2 weeks of some of the most amazing dreams I've ever had. And it's the way the show is done. It's the way that it's written, and it is absolutely incredible. And it's really weird how not only has it influenced my dreaming, which I totally dig, but how you can develop empathy and emotion for a cold-blooded assassin. That in this show, it's all there, man. That part of it, and you just have to watch the show to understand what I'm talking about. But I've had a couple of weeks of incredible sleep, incredible dreams because of Killing Eve, and I'm just going to leave that right there. Tonight, Robert Wagner is with us. He's an author of one of the best books on dreaming, Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self, and co-author of the award-winning book, Lucid Dreaming, Plain and Simple. And he has been a lucid dreamer since 1975. All right, so we have got a lot to discuss with Robert. He is at the very tippy top of this subject. Lucidadvice.com is his website. That is below on our website and in social media. I would like to welcome for the first time in Fade to Black, Robert Wagner. He's right there. Robert, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jimmy. Great to be here.
This is going to be an awesome night. But before we get started, I'm going to give you the first time guest disclaimer. And the next time you're on the show, you're not going to get it. So let's get that out of the way first. Tradition is tradition. And the disclaimer is this. Robert, is just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. Now, to proceed, you must accept.
I accept this challenge.
Yeah, that was too easy. That was too easy. You were just listening to my intro on the show, and I talk about dreaming a lot, and I look forward to getting to sleep every single night. I've got a certain position that I get into, and I can, when I'm ready, I can fall asleep in minutes. I know that most people, it's about 15 minutes. Some people take longer, counting sheep and all of that. But you can, get there fairly quickly. And I do. And I look forward to it. What is it about dreaming that excites us? It's an amazing thing. And we get to experience it, well, if you sleep once a day, you get to experience it every single day of your life.
Dreaming's amazing. About 23% of the night in sleep we spend in dreams. So about 2 hours every night we spend in dreams. And when you start to think about it, that means by the time you're 24, you've spent 2 entire years in the state of dreaming. And by the time you're 48, you've spent 4 entire years, and you just keep doing the math. We spend a lot of time in dreaming. And so what is that all about? But what I do know is that before there was Netflix, before there was TV, before there was even radio and all, there was dreaming. And dreaming captivated people for a lot of different reasons. I think what captivated me as a young person was that I would occasionally have precognitive dreams. I would hear in the dream state a strange phrase, just a weird set of words together. And then I'd wake up, I'd remember it. I'd be out on the playground, 6 hours later with my fourth grade friends, and someone would run along and say that exact phrase, that strange phrase. And I thought, how is this happening? How did this phrase that I dreamt about 6 hours earlier now show up on the playground? That's what got me hooked on dreaming. It was just too interesting.
I love it when that happens. And you know what I love even more? When some doofus skeptic, right, goes, no, that you heard it before, and that's just a coincidence. Nothing to see here. Move along. I enjoy that more because that's somebody that's lost and they don't get it and they don't enjoy those synchronicities and those suggestions that the world is not what it seems.
Right, exactly. I had this really powerfully brought up in a lucid dream on January 1st of 2022. So that night, I see my deceased mother-in-law. And I think, wait a second, what's she doing here? Oh, this is a dream because I realize she's dead. And at that moment, I ask her, what do you have to tell me? And she says to me that she wants me to understand that September is a very important month. And I was kind of like, really, that's it? And she goes, no, I want you to understand September is a very important month. And basically right then I got what she was trying to get across, and woke up. And when I woke up, I realized she was telling me that my elderly mom was going to pass away in September. And so that year, my wife and I went to visit my mom the last weekend of August. She was doing fine. Everything's great. And the next weekend, she passed away. And so it's kind of when you have that kind of moment, and that's a lucid dream where you can ask a question, why are you here? What are you doing here? Because at first I started to laugh because my mother-in-law has been deceased for probably 15 years. And this is the first time I've ever seen her appear in a dream. And so when you have that kind of moment happen where you get this kind of information exchange in a lucid dream, then that really makes you wonder what's really going on here, because this is truly special.
How do you this is how I offend half of my audience right now with what I'm about to say. I'm just going to offend. Let's just go for it, church. But it's this. What is the best way? This is a two-part question. What is the best way to remember your dreams? That's the first part. But the second part is, before you say, have a piece of paper, a notepad on your nightstand with the pen, and get ready with your journal. Men don't do that, right? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to tap out. I'm not going to give in to a journal or to a pad of paper. That's not going to happen. And now that I've just, pissed everybody off in saying something like that, it's just the way that it is. Women don't have a problem with that. They journal and diary and write, and I've always admired that. I don't have that skill. I don't have that patience. And I don't want to stop and spoil the moment. You know what I mean? I don't want to take the time to go all analytical with it. I want it to stay in my head. So what's the best way to remember your dreams?
So what I tell people is, in that first 10 seconds when you spontaneously wake, the first thing has to be focusing on what did I just dream, and start to recall those pertinent details, at a powerful level. Because if you wait 30 seconds before you try to recall, it'll probably evaporate. If you wait a minute, there's a 90% chance it'll be gone. So the first thing I do before I look at my phone, look at the clock, look at anything, I ask myself, what was I just dreaming? So I can begin to create those kind of pieces of pebbles or whatever that'll help me recall the dream when I wake up in the morning.
Now, let's talk about lucid dreaming. But if I wake up in the morning, because I want your definition of it, and also lucid dreaming is a term that people use, I think, a little bit too freely, right? Right? It's like, I'm not too sure if you know exactly what you are saying right now and the meaning of it. So let's get to that in a second. But the other part, if I wake up in the morning, and I do this probably every other day, I wake up, I put my feet on the floor, and I go, wow, that was cool. That was a fun one, right? Is that, if I have that kind of recall and that kind of happiness, does that fall into the definition of lucid dreaming? Or is that just a dream and lucid dreaming is something completely different?
Yeah, I have to tell you that lucid dreaming is something normally different, because the definition of lucid dream, you have to realize within the dream that, hey, this is a dream. And so that's why when I saw my mother-in-law, Nona, and I thought, wait a second, she's been dead for 15 years now. Oh, this is a dream. That's when I realized, hey, this is a dream. I know I'm dreaming. And that's the fundamental quality of a lucid dream.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Now, next thing. Dreams are personal. They are probably, we were talking about this before the show, they are probably only interesting to the individual having the dream. They're profound, they're extraordinary, they're amazing, they're vivid, they're panoramic, they're all of that, right? But you can't put that stuff into words. The impact that it's had on you personally, you're not going to be able to express that out, and it's your own personal experience. And by saying something like that so definite, is that accurate?
Everyone's dream symbols are connected to themselves and their own personal experience. And so that's why I think that when you begin to tell somebody your dream, after a while, half of the audience, their eyes are rolling back in their head, or they're checking their phone or looking at the time. It's not their symbols. Why should they be interested? It's not their mental production. It's not their creation. And so when it's like that, then you can understand why people roll their eyes and want to get out of the room as quickly as possible. Your dream symbols are special to you. They're unique to you. They have meaning and emotional valence, to you. To the rest of society, maybe not.
Yeah, probably not. So, audience, remember that the next time you want to tell somebody about your dream. Right? So, now, interpreting a dream is something that you get into strange territory there. But I'm going to ask you to interpret something for me, because I think that the audience can relate to this, and maybe we can answer some of their questions. You just mentioned you dreamed about your dead aunt or mother-in-law or
deceased mother-in-law. Yeah.
Deceased mother-in-law. Okay. This is me. I dream about relatives all the time while they are alive. When they die, I don't dream about them anymore. I haven't dreamt about my mom, who passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. Before she passed away, I dreamed about her all the time, right? Some of it pretty heartbreaking, right? Just like crazy dreams. But anyway, she passes, done, right? Anyway, if what's going on there? Why is it? And I'm kind of relieved that I stopped dreaming about them, if you know what I mean, because dreaming about somebody that has passed over, I haven't done it, but it seems like it would get pretty complicated. Trying to answer that symbolism. But why is it that I don't dream about my deceased friends and family?
Yeah, I think in dreaming, we get what we focus on in waking life. In the world of dreaming, there's an idea called continuity theory, that what you focus on during the day and how you think and the process of thinking continues into the dream state. And so if you're focused on family relations and family issues and stuff during the day, there's a good chance that you're going to continue with that focus at night and all. And that's probably why watching Killing Eve a couple of seasons before you go to sleep is putting your head in a totally different place. And, now you're probably going around solving mysteries and dealing with all sorts of things. I was an international assassin.
International
assassin. There you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and now if that's the definition of lucid dreaming, and I like that because it's fundamental and it's simple. You know that you are dreaming, right? Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about it's setting the course of what you want to dream about, and then you have that dream, or at least you start somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I call lucid light. Like when you go to the grocery store and there's real yogurt and yogurt light. So what you're talking about there is what I call dream incubation. That before you go to sleep, you kind of set up what you want to dream about that night or what you want to get an answer to. And so you focus on that question or that request, and then that night you dream about it and you wake up in the morning with an answer. So that's kind of a way of connecting with the unconscious mind, but you don't realize within the dream you're dreaming. You've influenced things, but you haven't become lucidly aware, but you have on kind of a fundamental basis influenced the nature of the dream by focusing on that before you go to sleep.
So you're having a lucid dream. You acknowledge that you're dreaming, and you continue to explore and have the experience, right?
Right.
At that moment, are you in another dimension? Is that reality? Is that just as real as when you're awake in the waking world?
So those are all very deep questions, because in a lucid dream, probably the first thing you need to realize, or a person needs to understand, you have to stabilize the state. Because a lot of people, they become lucidly aware and they get so excited and boom, they pop out. I mean, they're just, they blew the circuit and now they've wakened in bed. But for a lot of us who've had a lot of lucid dreams, you learn how to stabilize it. Now you can begin to explore. But you're right, you can begin to do personal experiments, like, does a dream banana taste like a real banana? Is it better? Is it worse? What's that all about? And so in the lucid dream, you can go into your kitchen, go into someone else's kitchen, grab a banana, do the whole experimental thing. Does a rose smell the same in a lucid dream as it does in a waking setting? And so it's really interesting to begin to compare and contrast these physical senses in the dimension of dreams. Now, your question, though, is actually much deeper. What is it about dreaming that gives it that sense of solidity, that gives it a sense of reality, basically almost as equal to this waking reality that we're in right now? And that's really interesting, because think of all the non-lucid dreams you've had. You've just accepted whatever happens. You just go along with it. You never question it. You never doubt it. Hey, yeah, I'm back in my third grade school, and I'm hanging out with my friends, and now we're going to go play kickball. You don't think that, wait a second, I'm 46 years old. What am I doing in the third grade? You just go along with it. And so there's something interesting about that dream experience, that it seems so real that we just go with it. We just run with it. But in lucid dreaming, we learn to focus on those strange things that kind of pop out at us, and we go, wait a second, this is too weird. This has to be a dream.
What, and is it a way that, science talks about this all the time, and trying to get to an alternate dimension or an alternate reality or a parallel world, when I think we do it every single night. Those scientists do it every single night, but they don't make that connection. And I think it's a very powerful connection if you're trying to answer these questions. Well, what is your brain doing? Where is it going? And the other part about this is when, like Hal in 2001, right? Will I dream? Right. That famous question. Philip K. Dick, right? Yeah, and Blade Runner, and do robots dream of electric sheep? Right. It's I think it's very, very profound, but scientists, because they can't touch it, they don't want to possibly explore something that they can't measure.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what lucid dreamers who keep going deeper into lucid dreaming kind of begin to discover. They begin to discover kind of the principles of how we create within the dream. And not only, create interesting scenarios and romantic encounters and fun things to do and all that kind of stuff. But you also begin to see how the mind works in such a way through its beliefs and expectation and its focus and intent to kind of create the experience that you're about ready to have. And so what you begin to realize as you go deeper into lucid dreaming is that a dream is basically a creation of the mind. Not only your conscious awareness in the moment, but also your unconscious. It's basically your conscious and unconscious working together to create the experience. And then you realize, okay, that's what a lucid dream is, and that's what a regular dream is basically too. It's the mind and the unconscious mind working together to create a perceived experience. But then when you start to play with it, you can begin to take this into the dreaming state, and there's ways that you can play around with waking reality to kind of show that it also is a type of mental creation. And there's scientific studies that basically show this, that your own personal experience of waking reality is your own unique version. And by changing your mind, you can change your own experience. In my second book, Lucid Dreaming, Plain and Simple, I have a technique that'll show people that they actually help to create their own personal experience.
Okay. That I was going right there. So I want everybody to get the book and to read it. Okay. But what's the best advice to do that setup? And let's talk with the lucid dreaming first, because I want to make 2 points. One, when I'm in a lucid dream that I don't like, okay, I will tell myself, this dream is freaking me out. It's time to wake up. And I do. I swear. And sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, man, I cannot go back to sleep and go there. I cannot. I need to change things. The music, the light, whatever it is, another audio book, something to get my mind off of where I was that I wasn't enjoying. And then I have to set up my next entrance into the dream state, right? So I don't go back in the same door. So what's your advice for the setup?
Well, so there's a technique that lucid dreamers use called dream reentry when you want to go back into the dream that you just woke up from. And so in that particular case, what you do if you want to go back in, what we've learned to do, you put your body in the exact position it was when you woke up. So if your hand was here and your other hand was over here, get your body in the exact position it was when you woke up. Then in your mind, start to replay the last 15 or 20 seconds of that dream that you just woke up from. Just start replaying it in your mind, and while you allow yourself to fall back to sleep. And normally it's like a glitch in a VHS tape or something, where there's a little shutter and then you're back in the dream. Now you're normally lucidly aware. So if you don't want to go back into that dream, then what I would say, get your body in a whole different position, get your body in a whole different position. And whatever you do, don't focus on that last dream you just had, because if you focus on it, there's a good chance that somewhere in the back of your mind, that loop is playing and you'll get sucked right back into it if you focus on it. So focus on something else, your most favorite vacation, your childhood dog, or, whatever it is, just anything, so you don't go back there.
Yeah, it's something that everybody listening right now hears us, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying that in a cavalier way. Of course they hear us and they see us, but they also get it, because we all go through it, don't we? We do. All of us go through this every single night.
Exactly, yeah. Every night we're spending about 2 hours in the dream state. And, the beautiful thing is, if you begin to pay attention to it, you'll start to pick up information that you otherwise wouldn't have. And then if you begin to learn how to become lucidly aware, then you can take it even a step further. Then you can begin to consciously explore it, begin to understand the rules and the principles, and you can keep going deeper.
Now, okay, let's stay right there. 2 hours. Okay, you've said that like 3 times now. Okay, 2 hours. That sounds impossible to me. It seems like it has to be much longer, and the reason for that is sometimes our dreams cover a year. We do all kinds of things, right? And how could all of that happen in a 2-hour time span? Unless time isn't the same during the dream state, right?
You know, what I think dreaming kind of shows us, and lucid dreaming shows us, is what I'd call the psychological nature of time. I remember one time I was a teenager out with some friends at night in their convertible. We went off the road, and suddenly I was airborne, flying towards a barbed wire fence. At that moment, in waking reality, time slowed down. Every microsecond, I felt myself flying through the air, headed towards that barbed wire fence. And so that's when you realize, you know, time isn't this linear thing. It's a psychological thing. And when you're really deeply, intensely focused, you can get time to slow down to a crawl, like I did in that moment. But you'll see this also in lucid dreaming reports. Like there's a young guy, his alarm went off, and so he put on the snooze, and the snooze would go for 8 minutes. He falls back into a dream, but this time he becomes lucidly aware. And he has this incredible lucid dream that seems like it goes on for 15, 20, 25 minutes. And then boom, the alarm goes off again. And he knows that dream happened within an 8-minute period.
Right.
But it felt like 20, 25 minutes. And that's because the psychological nature of a deep experience, of a powerful experience, can expand time, is basically what I'm saying.
Now, doesn't that suggest to you that we are indeed entering another dimension where time isn't the same as it is here, and it could be that simple?
You know, it might actually be that simple. It's interesting. Now, I've had lucid dreamers tell me that they've become consciously aware in the dream, and then they've announced to their unconscious mind, "Hey, show me my happiest dream ever." And boom, they're back in their happiest dream that they had, you know, like 6 years earlier. And they're back in the experience, and they go, wait, I remember this. This is so awesome. And so that's one of the beautiful things about the dream state. Time doesn't have that same linear meaning. You know, that dream from 6 years ago, it's still there. It's fresh. It's right there in your face. And looking ahead into the future, sometimes it's there as well. So again, time is very malleable in the dream state. And the linear state seems really linear, and it's second after minute after hour after day. But in the dream state, it's really flexible.
It just doesn't make any sense. And about the audience would remember this better than I. But let's go with I think it was about 5 years ago. So I have this complete dream of writing a book. Okay. And I'm talking about page 1, right? Page 2. I struggle. I do all those things. I go through all the writer's block. I do all of that. And I do 500 pages. I get to the end, right? And I wake up. I don't know how long it takes to pound 500 pages. I don't. But I would say that most authors would tell you that's 3, 4, 5, 6 months, right? I did it in a dream. And I woke up and I said to myself, that's impossible. But I remember every single page.
Wow.
Every chapter. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's amazing. You'll hear stories. A friend of mine became lucidly aware because he found himself basically on what seemed like a different planet, and he became lucidly aware. But he told the locals, he goes, "Look, I'm in a lucid dream," and they go, "Oh no, you're here with us. You're one of our people." He had a wife, a child. He watched the child grow up, but all the time he's thinking in the back of his mind that, no, I know what my name is. I know I live on Earth, and someday I'm going to wake up. And he said when the lucid dream came to an end, it was when he died in that dimension, and then he woke up in this dimension. And so it's really wild to think of spending an entire lifetime in a lucid dream, and at the end of the lucid dream lifetime, then waking back up in your physical bed. But again, this experience of time just shows us that time is actually much more curious and much more malleable than we think about it. And if we begin to explore it in an inner fashion, I think we'll learn much more about the actual nature of time.
Now, see, and you just messed with me because I had always thought about that book writing thing, and I've talked about it a lot on this show with other dream experts and the audience over the years because it doesn't make any sense. But I thought that I dreamt that in 8 hours, but you're telling me I did all of that in 2. Probably.
Well,
right?
In what people would call physical time, it probably happened in an hour or less. No way.
No.
Well,
really?
It's like a camera on the outside. You can see that clock ticking off the seconds and all, but the inner experience can be so profoundly different. And that clock time has no meaning to that inner experience. That inner experience shows the psychological time has depth and growth and value and so much more. But again, the clock time will never pick that up. But the psychological time, it'll pick it up.
Now, okay, so staying on lucid dreaming, how do you interpret symbols? And the symbols can come in any number of ways, right? It could be a literal symbol. It could be something that is symbolic. It could be a person. It could be a thing. It could be a smell, whatever it is. But how do we accurately understand what is being shown to us? Because there's lots of books written on this, but that is somebody else's interpretation too of symbolism, right?
Yeah, exactly. A dream dictionary isn't really a very helpful piece of material. It's because of everyone's unique personal experience. So for example, for a lot of us, a dog is a symbol of faithfulness and loyalty and friendship and all those dog qualities. But if you're a person who's been mauled by a dog, who's been attacked by a dog, who's been viciously chewed up by a dog isn't friendliness and faithfulness and loyalty and all that kind of stuff. A dog is a threatening character. So that's why each person's symbolism is going to be unique to their own personal experience. And that's why these dream dictionaries really aren't very helpful. So you have to find out when you're doing that kind of dream work, about what the person thinks about. What does the person associate with that dream symbol? And then you can take it from there. But one of the beautiful things about lucid dreaming, about realizing within the dream you're dreaming, is sometimes you can ask a dream figure, and I've done this quite frequently. I ask, who are you? or I'll ask, what do you represent? And oftentimes in a lucid dream, that dream figure will tell you exactly what it represents or exactly who it is. And all of a sudden, you don't have to think, you don't have to project your own stuff onto that figure. It'll tell you exactly what it represents. So, for example, there's a lot of nightmares where you're being chased by something. And so a young guy had read my book and he was being chased. And he thought, wait a second, I've been chased 3 times this month. Oh, this is a dream. I'm dreaming this. And so he did exactly like I say in the book. Ask whoever's chasing you, who are you? Or what do you want? And so he turns around and he asks the figure, who are you? And it replies, I am your fear of boredom. And the young guy was so blown away. And he realized when he woke up, he realized that he did have a fear of boredom. And so he's constantly fidgeting on his phone. He's constantly on the computer, constantly doing stuff and all. And it was to drive away boredom. And here was boredom chasing him in the dream state, trying to get his attention, trying to allow him to kind of finally chill and just be a human being for a moment. So again, that's the beautiful thing about lucid dreams. You can find out what the dream symbols represent. But I have a funny one for you, Jimmy. So I've been married a long time, and after about 20 years, I felt like I'd purchased every gift that my wife would want, for her birthday and all that kind of stuff. So one night I became lucidly aware, and I announced to the dream, to my unconscious mind, show me what my wife wants for her birthday. And I announced that to the dream, and suddenly in the dream, this teddy bear appears. Off in a teddy. That's what I said. I said, what? Are you kidding me? After 20 years of being married, she now wants a teddy bear? Are you joking? So I woke up in the morning and I thought about this, and I thought, God, there might be a slight chance that this would be for real. And so she's down at the breakfast table, and I turned to her and say, your birthday's coming up here, and I was thinking that I need to get you something, and I was wondering, would you like a teddy bear? And she looked at me like she could kill me in that moment. Like, are you kidding me? I don't want a teddy bear. And then it occurred to me, there's the other meaning of teddy bear, that a guy should be a teddy bear. You should be lovable and huggable. And, that guy over there, he's a teddy bear. And that's when I realized, that's what the dream was telling me, that my wife wanted, to have that kind of experience of the lovable, huggable, caring, and compassionate, kind of.
That's when you go and get a teddy bear costume. That's what you do. Happy birthday, honey. There
you go. Give me a hug. There you go.
Yeah. See if that works, right?
But anyway,
I'm a talking teddy bear. Now the other question that I have for you, and again, it's not about interpreting, but so many people go through these experiences. And so the repeating dream, right? The one that you can't control, and it happens over and over again. And probably 100% of the audience and anybody that will listen to this show in the future has that, maybe hundreds of times, right?
Yeah.
What is going on there? And if you don't want, how do you cancel?
Right. I was probably preteen when I figured out the solution. I was having this recurring dream that the invisible man was in our house.
Ooh, I don't like that.
At first it was kind of cool. Like, hey, the invisible man in our house.
It's
kind of cool. But then after a while, things have been moved around and things are missing. And as it progressed, it got a little bit darker and darker and darker. And finally, so this is what happened. So it kept recurring. And finally, okay, the invisible man's in the house. But this time I could hear that he was in one particular room. So I ran to the garage. I got a can of paint and opened it, and I put it on the ledge of the door outside of the room where the invisible man was in, because I could hear him in there making noise. And so what was interesting about this experience, so I knew that when he opened the door, then the paint can would fall on him and the invisible man would now be visible. But here's the moral of the story. After I did that in the dream state, I never had that recurring dream again. So what I learned at an early age, a recurring dream is looking for a new creative response. Fight and flight, that's not doing it. You can run away, you can hide, you can try to fight it. That's not resolving anything. It's looking for a new creative response. And I came up with a new creative response, never had that dream again. So I think it's kind of like you're on a computer form. And if you don't fill out that one little area and you push next, you keep getting brought back to the beginning. And it doesn't matter. You've got to fill out that one area. You've got to make that one creative response, or otherwise you're just going to keep in the loop. So that's what I really think is going on with recurring dreams. It's waiting for a new creative response.
How do you, all right, let me back up. I was going to say, how do you fall asleep the easiest? And it's so funny because there is such a market for this, right? There's pillows, there's medication, there's natural stuff, there's teas, there's rain, a thunderstorm audio, whatever it is, right? I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
Yeah.
Now this is what I do, and I remember I was hosting a conference, and this subject comes up, and I'm doing a presentation, and I told everybody, I said, "Look, I'm going to tell you what I do, but don't do it now because it works. Do it tonight and not during the conference." Okay, so anyway, this is what I do. I have a house. The house is off in the distance. It's a 1-story house, and it's like light yellow. It's almost white. It's kind of sepia. It's a sepia white. Make sense? Okay, kind of a sepia environment. And there's a window. It's a 1-story house, but the window is up a little high. And I walk up to the house, and I climb through the window. It's not easy. But when I get through the window, I'm out.
Wow.
I'm out.
Wow.
Out. I'm in that dream. I'm off to the races. And that's what works for me. And I've talked about it on the show. I've talked about it with other dream experts. But
the House of Dreams. All right.
Man.
Through the window.
And I never see the room. Right? I don't see what's on the other side. But that's what I do. I do it every night. And in most cases, if I want to just like get to sleep, that's what do you do? What's your advice for getting there as easy as possible?
Well, I really like what you've done there, because you've kind of created a mental pathway, and that's what I learned as a teenager doing self-hypnosis. If you keep following that same self-hypnotic pathway over and over and over, it just gets easier and easier and quicker and more real. And then you're really accomplishing something. You're getting deeper into the subconscious. So I really love that. That's what I've found when I have a hard time sleeping. Then I try to remember some of the happiest moments on our vacations. And I'll put myself back in that place, back on that beach or back on that mountain or back by that lake or whatever it is. And just being in that space, it's something calms the body, calms the mind. You just kind of get back into this state where you can fall back into the sleep zone. So normally I just don't have any problem falling asleep. I'm an expert at falling asleep. I don't need to do anything. But on those moments when my head is in an alternate place and I do have to shift something around, that's when I go to the vacation spot and chill, and all of a sudden I relax back into the sleep state.
Is it because people struggle so much with it because they don't understand how to slow the mind down? Right? You've come off an argument, or you've come off of watching something, or whatever it is. Your rent is late, whatever it's, and you've got so much going on, and you can't get that. As long as you're thinking about that, you're not going to get into the relaxed state, right?
Yeah, you've really got to let it go. There's an interesting research piece on insomnia, and so this is what they had the insomniacs do. They had them focus on gratitude for 15 minutes before they went to sleep. Whatever they were grateful for that day, whatever grateful idea came to their mind, that they were to focus on that for 15 minutes and then try to fall asleep. And like 60% of them, within a few days, they were falling asleep as easily as anyone. So you're right. It's normally the mind, the nature of the mind. We're focused on things. We won't let go of things. We're holding on to disagreements and arguments and mental chatter in our head. We just won't let it go. But when you focus on something else, gratitude, go into the dream house, go into the vacation spot, all of a sudden the mind starts to get into a proper place where it can let go and allow sleep to occur. But really, it's about the mind. You've got to be able to work with your mind.
Why do we dream? Now, I haven't done this probably since I was 5 years old or 6 years old, but I knew what was going on. I knew that I was dreaming, but I would fly, and we all dream about it. We all do, but I stopped. I haven't had a flying dream in 55 years.
Oh man.
I know. But in the dream, I have been able to project to another place and go there. Now, some people's will have a definition for that. It doesn't matter. I do it in the dream state, and I haven't done this because I've read a book or I've talked to somebody. I've always done that since I was a little kid, and I practice that, and it's fun. And there may be a term for it for somebody else, but for me, it's just a way of controlling the dream state. But I can't fly, and I don't. Why do we dream so much about flying, and why can't I do it anymore?
That's one of the things that lucid dreamers love to do. A lot of people, as soon as they become consciously aware that it's a dream, the first thing they're doing is going off to fly.
Yeah. I can't do it. I cannot do it.
So I think part of it's connected to that kind of sense of freedom or whatever, and that's why we love to fly. Sometimes there might be a chance that if you went back, you would realize that you had some negative flying experience. You smashed into a wall. You plummeted 20 stories or something. But there might be some sort of reason that you're that you've denied yourself that. I remember once I was giving a conference out in Colorado, and this young guy raised his hand and he goes, "What if you don't remember your dreams? I haven't remembered a dream for 10 years." And so I stopped and I said, "Okay, so how old were you when you stopped dreaming?" And he goes, "I was about 16." And I go, what was going on in your life? Was there something big happening then? And he thought, and he goes, oh, my parents had a big, horrible, nasty divorce. And I go, okay, that's fine. There might have been a chance that there was so much stuff going on in your real life at that time that you couldn't stand the nightmares and other stuff that was going on in your dream life. And so you just shut down dreaming. And so I told him, I said, this is all you have to do. Tonight before you go to sleep, just tell your dreaming self that you allow yourself to remember dreams again, that you allow yourself to remember dreams. So the next morning, I see this young guy, and he is dancing in the hallway when he sees me. I said, what happened? He said, I did exactly like you said. I told my inner self that I was ready to allow my dreams. He said, as soon as my eyes shut and I fell asleep, he said it was slide after slide of dream images for the last 10 years that he had ignored. He said,
I love that. I love that.
The most incredible thing. But, a lot of times this stuff, whether it's we're no longer flying or we're no longer doing this or no longer even remembering our dreams, is because on some inner level, we've shut it down. And what we've got to do is allow ourselves to turn it back on and get it going again.
It's great. And I love that. I don't know if I believe it. What I'm saying is that he was dreaming, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no question about that. There's no way that nobody doesn't dream.
Right.
But oh, wow. Wait a minute here. Is it possible not to dream? Dogs dream.
Dogs dream. They've done studies on almost every mammal, and they see that it enters a dream state.
Right.
Dogs dream, cats dream, they all dream. But unless you've had some serious brain injury, truly massive, that would be probably the only condition that would keep a person from dreaming.
Yeah. Now, remembering dreams. Yeah, sometimes I struggle with that. Like I will come off of a night. It doesn't happen often, but it does. It does. Maybe once a month or so. Right. Where I'll have a fantastic dream and know that I'm dreaming and then tell myself, dude, do not forget this one. Right? In the dream state, I say it. And then I wake up, I'm like, man, dang it. I told myself to remember. What was that all of it? I don't remember it. It's really weird how that why is there a way to pull it back out of you, or once it's gone, it's gone?
Boy, what I try to do is focus on one or two bits of it, and then normally I can resurrect it.
Right.
But boy, if you can't find those one or two bits, though, then you're kind of lost. It's
gone. It's gone. Yeah, you just got to wait for nightfall to go into the next moment. Robert, stay right there. We got to take a break. Let's get that in. Tonight we're talking lucid dreaming and much more. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. This is Jimmy Church. Please visit and explore Egypt this October 3rd through the 14th, 2024 with Billy, Elizabeth, myself, and very special guest and the #1 podcaster in the world, Sean Kelly. It's simple to do. Just go to forbiddenknowledge.com and click on upcoming tours, or click on the link below. We'll see you there. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black T-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 T-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. And right now, if you get a Game Changer membership for a limited time, you will get Fade to Black Blend coffee with your Game Changer membership. That's right. We have 2 T-shirts. We have the original, the classic Fade to Black T-shirt. You know you want one. Post a picture, send it to us. We'll put it in our Fade to Black gallery. And we've got the new official Fade to Black T-shirt drawn by Michael Oming. 2 T-shirts, 2 ways to get them. Get yours today. Everything is in stock. Everything gets autographed. Everything includes shipping. And you're going to get a tracking number. And with a Game Changer membership, you get an email to me. You get unlimited commercial-free downloads of the show. Those are uploaded every single night after the show to the website. So don't delay. Get your Fade to Black T-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, we're talking about lucid dreaming. Robert Wagner is with us. And I would say he's at the tippity top of lucid dreaming when this discussion happens. And And Robert, I want to ask you about two things that I struggle with. One, when a lucid dream that you have repeatedly becomes precog. Okay. Now I want to ask you about this because I think it's important. It seems that when this happens, the future is accessed. But wait a minute, it hasn't happened yet. How is that possible? So I, for years, had this recurring dream, lucid. I know that it's a dream and I enjoy it. And it's very detailed and the steps and everything. And it involved, well, okay, I'm not going to get into that because I'm going to tell you what it involved. So then the movie 2012 comes out. Okay. And I'm watching the movie. I'm in the theater. I'm enjoying myself. It's great. And then the ending happens. And when there's a bunch of these ships, they're called arcs, and they're all lined up. And they're getting ready to launch. And that scene and the ships launching are my dream to the T. And I'm sitting in the movie theater going, holy crap, no way. No way. And I've had this dream 50 times, 100 times, I don't know. But I'm watching it on the screen. After the movie, now I was profoundly affected by that. There wasn't any question about what was going on. Okay. And the strangest part about it is I never had that dream again. Now that I can't, I know it sounds crazy to those that have never gone through something like this, but I did. And I thought to myself, somebody's reading my book, right? Somebody has access to the future. And I've been dreaming this, for years. Now, what is going on there and how is that type of lucid dream possible that turns into a serious state of precog fact?
Yeah, this reminds me of the comment that some Tibetan dream yoga people, they would call this something like memories of the future. Like what you're having there is a memory of the future. And it's like that memory just keeps recurring and calling you to that future point where that memory is seen and known in 3D. So yeah, that's really a powerful moment. And so it seems like it's calling you, it's bringing you to that point. But that's really powerful.
But how is it possible?
Yeah, see that's when we get back to time again. What is the actual nature of time? And so you begin to play around with time. You can play around with it in lucid dreams. You naturally play with it in regular dreams. You find yourself back in the second grade, and you're with your current friends, and you're talking about something that's going to happen in the future. Time really has a fluidity in the dream state that it doesn't have in the waking state, or it doesn't seem to have in the waking state very often. And so an experience like this kind of just shows this fluid nature of time where the snake is eating its tail, that you're picking up something that you're moving towards, but you just haven't got there yet.
It was so powerful to me. Now, I have never told anyone about this. It was just a completely personal experience. I didn't talk to Fred. No, I'm talking to you now. I guess I guess I'm on your couch for real, right? I'm confessing things, but it was so powerful, but too crazy even for me to talk about. And I talk about some crazy stuff. I've had lots of strange experiences. I have no problems talking about, but this was powerful. And it really, really, really freaked me out. Like, it was too vivid. It was too, but the closing chapter of this whole thing is that I never had that dream again. And it was a dream that I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
But it never came back. I've tried to have it. It's gone.
Yeah. Well, it kind of sounds like you realized it, you fulfilled it by having the waking experience. You got to the end of the road. That was it.
Now, which is the next part that I need advice on, and I want the audience to all laugh with me right now. Why is it? And don't tell me it's just me, because that's not going to be the right answer. Why is it that most dreams don't end? Right? They don't have a conclusion. You're always trying to get to something, and to whatever it is, whatever it may be, but it doesn't have an ending. And the dream ends with you waking up, but it doesn't have the conclusion of an ending in the dream. Why is that?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's interesting that some people report having serial, SERIAL, serial dreams, just one night after the other, where they just continue the story. In fact, that book, Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he said night after night, the story just kept coming to him. Each chapter, just kept coming to him. And he said it was easy to write because it was a serial dream. But in some ways, I mean, it's just the nature of awareness. The show must go on. And so you never get to the final spot. The show is always going to keep going on. There's still something else left to explore. So I think that's just the nature of life kind of being expressed in the dream state.
So there isn't supposed to be an end?
Well,
let me give you an example. I'm just going to pull something out of the air. Let's say I am on my way to go and buy socks. I'm just making something up. I'm going to the store to buy socks, but I never get to the store. Right? You know what I mean? It's just like left turn, right turn, this, that, and I never walk through the door of the store. Right? It's always the journey, but I never buy the socks.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it's all about. The process, the journey, the trip. It's not about the destination. There really isn't a destination. It's about the journey. It's about the process. Yeah, that's what I think when I hear something like that. It's about the striving for. It's about the desire. It's about the intent. It's about the focus. But the thing itself, that's not it.
What's the easiest way to mess up a lucid dream? Drugs?
No, but I'd say probably the easiest way to mess up a lucid dream, get too excited. People get too excited, boom, they pop out. And normally as they get they're so happy, they're happy to be flying, they're ecstatic, and they get too ecstatic, and boom, they're out of there. So that's the number one easiest way to pop out of a lucid dream.
So drugs are on the table, is what you're saying.
I'm not putting them on the table. I'm not putting them off the table. It's just they're not the number one area.
No, I don't need them. I just need to close my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't really explored that kind of stuff in a couple of decades. So I don't know. I don't have any current experience with that, but I hear people talking about it all the time. And what I did do, this was about 2 years ago, and I stopped. I tried melatonin, the gummies, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that, well, no, let me cut to the chase. It didn't work for me. In that I didn't feel like it was helping me fall asleep. I didn't feel any different. Maybe it did after I felt it, but as far as I got bored with it.
Yeah.
And I got 2 full bottles of gummy melatonin that just sit there. You know, it was something that didn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, this issue of supplements. If you ask me, a lot of it is the placebo effect. If you really believe in it, it's going to work. Feel kind of indifferent to it, you'll probably have indifferent results.
Yeah, makes sense. Now let's go to student and teacher here a little bit, and we'll have a pop quiz at the end of the show for the audience. But what are the reasons to lucid dream?
Most lucid dreamers just get into it to have fun. You fly around, you walk on water, you do all sorts of crazy things. It's fun. But, when you start going deeper, you realize that in a lucid dream, you can access creativity. You can resolve emotional issues.
Stop right there. Okay. Yep. No, let's go to number 1.
Okay.
Let's break that one down. And I'll tell you why. You go to an art museum and you're looking at a painting and you're like, wow, man, what's going on there? That's a dream. That's somebody that is able to capture that crazy, I'm going to use a bad word, that crazy ass night that they just had, right? and they are able to turn around and get that onto a canvas, or they can get it into a song, or they can get it into a movie. And I find that very, very exciting. But I think that is one of the best applications of a lucid dream.
Yeah. So I've had lucid dreamers tell me that like one was a professional novelist. He said that when he had a hard time finishing a novel, he'd try to have a lucid dream. And when he'd become lucidly aware, he would ask for the novel characters to appear. And suddenly they'd appear around him, and he'd ask, how do we improve this novel? How do we make it really, hum, really sing? And he said normally they'd have some wonderful ideas on, how to improve it. Like, oh, you shouldn't have killed grandma in chapter 3. We need her at the end of the book to explain the family secret, or whatever it was.
Right.
There's another guy who called in. He's a professional musician. He said that when he becomes lucidly aware, he'll make some announcement like, when I go into that next building, I'm going to hear the most incredible music I can create. And he said he'll walk into the next building and there'll be this incredible music or incredible lyrics. And he's just doing his best to hang on and remember it all so he can wake up and write it down. So that's one of the crazy things about lucid dreaming is there's all of this creativity that you can access and work with, especially if you're in creative fields.
Yeah, I love that. So let's see. We'll get to number 2 here in just a second. But if that is indeed the case, and it certainly is, then you must develop the practice of knowing when you're dreaming,
Right.
and to be able to speak or think questions and get answers. Right. That's, or it's just a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes a practice. You got to be a little bit disciplined, and but most everyone, I think, can become an amateur at lucid dreaming. If you have a great facility for it, I think you can go on and take it to the next level. But even amateurs are doing incredible things. Yeah.
My bedroom, by the way, it's not all frilly. No, it's very masculine and mechanical, industrial, I should say, clean, mid-century combined with modern, right? But it is set up for go time. It is, man. It is just set up to dream, and that's part of it. You have to understand that this is an art, this is a technique, and you have to approach it that way. And if you do, you can do all of these things. So, yeah, I love that. Being able to just stop and go, okay, all right. But maybe we should discuss step 2, because in your dream, you may be able to fix something.
Right.
So talk us through that.
Yeah. So the second area is kind of resolving emotional issues. And, one way that lucid dreaming is being used in psychology today is to basically eradicate recurring nightmares from people who have PTSD, because that's one of the main symptoms of PTSD. You have nightmares every night, the same thing over and over. And that's why a lot of people who have PTSD, they're drinking or they're taking substances so they can fall asleep. I mean, they're just trying to somehow shut down the mind, shut down the recurring nightmares. But here's what they've discovered. If you can teach someone to become consciously aware in just one of those nightmares and change one thing in that nightmare, when you become lucidly aware, then the nightmares basically cease just then and there. They're just done. And so that's one of the beautiful things about lucid dreaming, is you start to see this practical aspect. But besides ending recurring nightmares, I've heard from lucid dreamers who've used it to overcome phobias like fear of heights, fear of public speaking, fear of spiders, whatever fear it is. There's probably a lucid dreamer who's overcome it in a lucid dream. I've had other lucid dreamers tell me that they've gotten rid of their anxiety and panic attacks by seeing how the mind works in the dream state, in the lucid dream state, and transferring that to the waking state, and just not letting their mind go down that path that leads to the panic attack, or that leads to the sense of incredible anxiety. So there's a whole big area here where lucid dreaming could really begin to inform psychology about how the mind works in such a way to help people begin to resolve some of these issues.
Number 3.
Okay. So I would say number 3 is promoting physical health. I create, along with my friend Lucy Gillis, a free online magazine called the Lucid Dreaming Experience. We had an issue 3 or 4 issues back. A gentleman became lucidly aware. In his life, he had had a traumatic brain injury. He said that he was so messed up that he was, you'd have to read the article. He was just totally messed up because of this traumatic brain injury. In fact, the doctor told him he would probably die within a year because he was in such bad shape. And so in a lucid dream, he asked for a complete healing. And he said the strangest thing happened, and you'd have to read the story again. But when he wakes up, he said it was like someone had pushed the reset button on his brain. And now, instead of being in this strange traumatic brain injury world, now he was back to basically being normal. He said he got a job, and here it was 5 or 6 years later, I'm interviewing him for our magazine. That's a big example. But you have other examples of people in lucid dreams. They become consciously aware within the dream. They remember they have a bad knee. In the lucid dream, they create a ball of healing light between their hands, put it on the knee to heal the knee. And the next morning, boy, now they can walk up and down the stairs without any trouble at all. So you'll have these interesting examples of people who apparently are using lucid dreaming to heal their physical bodies. And one thing that I think about this is it kind of reminds me of deep hypnosis. So like sometimes they'll teach people or get them into a state of deep hypnosis in order that they can,
quit smoking
or have some surgery, and they can't deal with normal painkillers or something. So they put them in a deep, and they'll stop bleeding, by hypnotic command and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of what I think about when you're in a lucid dream. You're already deep in the subconscious or unconscious mind in the dream state. And now when you become lucidly aware, it's like, whoa, I'm at this deep level of the self. I remember that the physical self has this issue. And now, I'm down here in the, the utility room or whatever, where now I can play around with some things and take care of that physical issue. And so in both of my books, I have entire chapters on people who have used lucid dreaming to resolve physical issues. And I've also given examples of people who have used lucid dreams and they didn't resolve their physical issues. Because I wanted to show people the different approaches between the ones who succeeded at it and the ones who had no difference. Because the ones who had no difference, all the advice given to them in the lucid dream, they just ignored it. All the possible chance, don't believe it. Not going to go there. They won't even give it a chance. But in the examples of success, you see the people, they believe in it, they act on it, they just go for it, and some of them wake up with just incredible changes in their life.
When we're going to get to number 4. There is a number 4, right?
Right.
Is there a number 10?
If you keep going, I'll dream one up.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. I want you to laugh, but I want the audience to hear this too as well. I have woken myself up out of a lucid dream that I was enjoying because of pain. And the pain is because I've been in the same position, right, on my arm, and my arm's asleep, my shoulder hurts, and my body says, dude, you got to wake up right now. And you do that, and you pull yourself out of the dream, and then you say to yourself, my arm's asleep, my shoulder hurts, I've got to stretch. How long was I in that position? Right? Where you haven't moved, right? You haven't moved for 2 hours. And that is something that will pull you out of a lucid dream. And you don't want to get out of the dream, but then that's evidence of, man, it was good stuff.
Yeah, I recall one time I was in this lucid dream having a wonderful experience, but then there was a part of me that realized that my physical self was having a hard time breathing. And so like there's the part that's focused on the lucid dream, and then there's this other part like dude, you're in trouble. And so finally I thought, I've got to wake up and find out what's going on. And the funny thing was I had the bed sheet was like halfway in my mouth, and keeping me from breathing. But it's so funny to be in that kind of, you're focusing on the lucid dream, you're having fun, but there's another part that's sending out warning messages like, Get
Dude,
up.
you gotta stay alive. Yeah, I love that. Okay, number four.
Number 4 is accessing this inner awareness. And that's why I call my first book Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self. After I'd been lucid dreaming for 13 years, I had this experience where instead of asking a dream figure to tell me something, I just ignored the dream figure and heard the unconscious mind or my inner awareness respond to the question that I asked in the lucid dream. And that totally flipped me out.
Wow.
It was like I realized there's an awareness behind the dream.
Right.
And so after that, in all of my lucid dreams, I began to ignore the dream figures, and I would just begin to ask questions like, hey, dream, show me something important for me to see. And sometimes the entire lucid dream would change. Or, hey, dream, let me experience, and then I'd give some conceptual experience, and boom, I would be deep into this conceptual experience. I mean, sometimes it was just super powerful. And so what I began to see was that in lucid dreaming, you can actually engage your inner awareness, your inner self. And so many people have read my books. They've just been blown away when they realize that this is a possibility. They're just flabbergasted that you can connect to that inner awareness. So sometimes you'll hear a voice and it'll be, you won't see a person. It'll just be a non-visible voice will respond. Other times it'll give the response by changing the entire lucid dream. So it'll give you kind of a symbolic response. But sometimes
you're really giving me stuff to think about.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's totally wild. So, like I remember one time I became lucidly aware, and I announced, "Let me experience the energy of the universe." And then in front of me, the lucid dream opened up. It's like the dream screen opened up, and through this screen came this brilliant white light. You know, just like those kids in New York City, they crank open the fire hydrant. Well, basically, I had the fire hydrant of energetic light just coming right into me. And it was so powerful. You know, it was accumulating in the palm of my hands and my chest and forehead. And after about a minute of it, I just couldn't take it anymore. I said, stop, time out. And that's the beautiful thing about this, connecting with this inner awareness. You can ask to experience conceptual experiences. You can take this incredibly deep. And so that's why I call my first book, Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self, is just to kind of talk how I got into it, and then also to share how tons of other lucid dreamers have gotten into the same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's amazing. What's your okay, Robert?
Yeah.
Is your wife into this?
No.
Yeah, I knew it. It's too easy to insert joke here, right? But is she okay with it, or is it like, here we go again, right? I got to hear Robert talk about. Does she understand? Is she cool with it, or?
Yeah, you know what? But probably once a month, she'll tell me a dream. But almost all of her dreams are about resolving problems at work. You know, like, oh yeah, I had this dream, and at the end of the dream, I realized how I could resolve this problem at work. So maybe once a month, she'll tell me something. But you're right. Not everyone's going to take it this deep and go deep into the rabbit hole. But when you start talking with lucid dreamers, you realize some of them are really picking up some profound inner experiences.
Just tell your wife I'm deeply sorry for bringing that up. I didn't mean to, but that's, you know what though, that's our job as men. We have to listen to the trials of work every day. You know, but I would, that makes a lot of sense. makes a lot of sense. And, when you're going down your 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to discuss number 5 here in just a second. But that's exactly right. Working out issues, working on self, working on this. And that's exactly what your wife is doing. She may not want to admit that you're right. And I understand that part. But that's exactly the process, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to take it where their interest is, where their focus is. And so that's just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave that right there. Number 5.
Probably what people would call number 5 is doing spiritual practices in lucid dreams. So imagine this, Jimmy.
Okay.
You become lucidly aware, stabilize the lucid dream, and now you stop what you're doing in a lucid dream and begin to meditate.
Now, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. Is that even possible? I mean, that's dreaming in a dream.
If you want to have a totally profound experience, become lucidly aware, stabilize it, and then what I do, I stop in the lucid dream. I begin to meditate by emptying my mind. And I'll tell you, within 15, 20 seconds, you're having the most profound experience that you can imagine.
Wow.
So that's why historically, for about 2,000 years, there's been dream yoga, Buddhist dream yoga. And they've been practicing using lucid dreaming as the mechanism to kind of enter some really deep states and kind of marry it with Buddhist philosophy to have some profound experiences. And in Sufism and the mystical branch of Islam, for about 1,000 years, they've been using lucid dreams. In Taoism, they have secret societies that use lucid dreams. But in native traditions and shamanic traditions, for many thousands of years, they've been using lucid dreams. And what they've been using them for, in a large part, is to have these really totally amazing, profound spiritual experiences. And so meditating in a lucid dream is just one easy way that people could begin to see how powerful this can be.
Wow, that's strong. That's deep. That's deep. What if you... Dude, what if you don't come out of the meditation?
Then you've joined the big dream, I'd have to say.
Yeah. Now, I have trouble. Let's change gears a little bit, and in the time that we have left, something that I find very important. I cannot fall asleep in silence. I can't do it. I cannot. It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, maybe if I haven't slept in 3 days and I'm climbing a mountain and I'm physically exhausted and it doesn't matter, I can fall asleep standing up. Yeah. Sure. Okay. But as far as my normal routine, it doesn't matter if I'm in a hotel, if I'm on a ship, if I'm on a plane, or my bedroom. I cannot sleep in silence. I can't do it. I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah. I remember when my parents moved out of the city and got 8 acres out in the country and built a house. And that first night, trying to fall asleep in the new house, it was so incredibly silent. It was like unreal. It was so outside of the norm that it truly was hard. I've gotten into the habit of having white noise or pink noise on in the background just to kind of just turn everything into kind of a filtered, soft hum. And that's what I find easiest to fall asleep. I don't think I've got quite to your level where I can't fall asleep in silence, but
I can't. Yeah. I try. I've got a variety of things that I do, but books on tape, right? Audible. I will just. I've got a huge library, so that's my fallback. A seminar.
You're saying they're playing at night while you're falling asleep?
All night. Yes. Every night, every single night. Physics, science, it doesn't matter. UFO books, lots of that. But it doesn't really matter. I don't go nonfiction, right? Where I've got to think and I've got to listen to characters interact and stuff like that. No, I don't do that. But let me tell you what really messed me up, like bad. So I read something about rain, thunderstorms, right? Okay, so all right, I'll try that. I'm down. So I get whatever. I've got like an 8-hour thunderstorm audio file, right? And I put that thing on. I'm telling you, I woke up in the middle of the night in the craziest, deepest, gnarliest, lucid nightmare I had ever had. I went into some serious brain activity. I had to turn it off. And I went back to whatever, man, a physics class or something, right? And got that going. Anyway, so the next night, I thought, it was the thunderstorm. That's what it was. So let's do rain. So this is the next night, right? And I get the rain going, and I did, man. I fell right asleep. 2 hours later, I woke up in a panic attack out of the craziest, most vivid nightmare I had ever had. And I can't, no, it's not like I can fall asleep with any noise going on. I can't, it was the strangest thing. It's like it got me too active, too vivid, too real, and way, way too lucid.
Wow. Yeah, it makes me wonder if all that natural sound of rain or lightning and thunder or whatever just connected with some deep part of your brainstem that knew that if you heard that much, it meant flood, catastrophe, whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's how the mind interpreted it, or the unconscious mind interpreted it in the dream state.
When I was a kid, I hear what you're saying. For me, because I thought about this a lot, like it freaked me out so much that I will never do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I equated it to chemistry was just fired up. Something about that allowed the activity to go to 11 instead of 10, and 10 is crazy town, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I thought it was. Now, so I completely stopped with that. But when I was a kid, okay, going back to your point, I moved to Central America. I got to tell you the short version of it. Dad's in the military. We moved to Panama. Yeah. Our temporary housing when we got there. Now, Panama is a third world country built in a jungle. That's it. That's what it is. That's it. The Panama Canal was cut through a jungle.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So our temporary housing was this town called Cocoli, in the jungle. I went from the United States and McDonald's and shopping malls to the jungle. All right. First night. And I go in, I got my bedroom and things, and I look and I'm like, man, there's no glass. There's no windows. No, we don't know. We got screens. Okay. All right. What? Right? Floor to ceiling screens. No windows. And this house is on the edge of the jungle. Like, I look out the window and it's jungle. I'm not exaggerating about this. Okay, so now I'm in bed. Lights are off. And I'm hearing the crazy nightmare of things getting killed violently in the jungle. And I told this story, man. I'm serious. I got my blankets up and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. That sounds like it really hurts, right? and the most amazing dreams. And I really enjoyed that. The sounds of the jungle with the sounds of death, right? But it's never ending and it's constant and it's a cacophony of just depth. Right. You know what I mean? And amazing dreams with that. Thunderstorms? No. But nature and the sounds like that were extraordinary for dreaming.
Yeah. You know, I recall going down the Colorado River for 7 days. There's these tour groups that take you down the river and you sleep out on the sandbanks and stuff. And I'll tell you, my dreams going down the Grand Canyon were incredible. And I think it's part of just being back in nature and returning to that pre-technological person. You know, after a few nights, you're just having incredibly intense dreams. Even for me, someone who's been paying attention to my dreams, this was a whole nother level.
Right.
So I think also, you know, living in a screen house next to the jungle, it just calls forth the same depth.
You will never forget the first time you hear something really big, chase something down, and catch it. Dude, I'm telling you, man, the imagery that's going on, the shrieking, the thing, you know, it was incredible, and it just goes on all night long, you know. And that's it's life in the jungle, you know. Now, you mentioned the inner self, the higher self, the inner self. Let's end on that because I think it's very important. I had never experienced it until my first and only hypnosis session that I did. I did it for TV, by the way, right? Wow. Did it with cameras. And I went under immediately. I didn't know if I could do it, especially with cameras rolling, you know, and stuff. But I went under, and I very quickly and very deeply, by the way, and it was incredible. But the first time I heard the voices in my head, my higher self, I was confused. And I literally said, not out loud, in my head, I'm having this conversation. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Well, what's going on? Why are you saying that? And why are you in my head? This was all going on. Now, I didn't know. And Sarah, who's the therapist that's doing the session, she doesn't know about any of this, but she's talking to my higher self. And my higher self is talking back to her, and it's in my voice, right?
Wow.
And I was like, wait. And I'm talking to myself in my voice, in my head, going, why are you saying that? I don't remember this. Oh, hold on, Jimmy. Just wait for this next part. And it was very confusing for me at first. So when you are talking to the audience right now about accessing this, how do you handle it without freaking yourself out? And how do you understand when it's going on?
You know, it comes across as very natural. And because I think we're familiar with it at deep levels of the self. We know that there's more to us than our ego conscious self, that there's something deeper. It's interesting that back in, I think, the 70s and 80s, there was studies in psychology of people going into deep hypnosis and then becoming aware of this kind of what I would call larger awareness or inner self. And this scientist published all these papers on it and just got beat up bad. But you see the same exact thing happen in deep lucid dreaming. You ask a question, hey, let me experience, boom, and all of a sudden, boom, you're experiencing it. Or, hey, tell me this. Or one time I recall asking, hey, show me my life as if it was a painting. And then, boom, in the sky above me, there's a 90-foot by 30-foot painting hanging there in the sky that appeared in a microsecond, full of all sorts of incredible symbolism. And I'm just looking at it thinking, how creative is this inner awareness that it can pull that together in a microsecond? And so it's kind of like, those old mystery movies, Follow the Money. When you get into lucid dreaming, it's follow the creativity. And when you connect with the inner awareness, the larger awareness, and see its level of creativity, you realize that that's not a conscious self product. That's not an ego self product. That's something beyond the you that you normally think you are. And so that's why I think this is so important. But deep hypnosis showed this. Science didn't know what to do with it. They tossed it out. I bring that up in my first book. And that's why I think lucid dreaming is really going to have legs. It's going to start to show us that there's more going on here than just the ego self and the conscious self. There's this deeper part of the self that would really do well to connect with.
Well, we all have heard, I don't want to talk like this is some kind of deep rooted psychosis, right? The voice in my head is saying, but we're all familiar with that, right? Don't do it. Don't eat it, right? Don't, or the opposite, right? Do it. Do it. So we've all heard that voice.
Well,
but it's to understand it and how to turn around and access it. Now, I have to ask you really quick before we go.
Yeah.
How cool was the painting?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing to just see this whole 90-foot giant painting hanging in the sky. It's just like, look at this. This is incredible. It's truly amazing. And I think the right end of the painting was, like the final 10 years of my life. Just amazing.
Was it like Robert Wagner crossing the Delaware, in the front of the boat? I mean, did you ever think about recreating it or having another artist recreate it?
In my second book, one time I was at an International Association for the Study of Dreams conference, and we have a dream art contest where we give away, $1,500 in dream art awards. So here's this very professional, there in the exhibit was this beautiful piece of art. And there's the little written thing, the dream. And in the dream, the guy becomes lucidly aware because he lives in Montreal and he looks around and it's nothing but desert. And he thinks, wait a second, it's January in Montreal. There should be snow, but it's desert. And he becomes lucidly aware. So he's an artist in waking life and he wants to find the most incredible art he can create. And he turns around and sees this incredible thing. So I ran into the guy at the conference and I said, what was it like to paint that? And he said, oh, that's the incredible thing. It took me about a third or half the time as a normal painting of that complexity. He said, it was like my body had already done it.
Right.
He said it just came together so quickly. But
he didn't have to think about it. It was already painted.
It was already in his head. He saw it in the lucid dream. It was already there. There was no conflict, no hesitation. It was just boom, he got it on the canvas. And so I think that's another part of the beauty of it is there's deep stuff deep inside of us. And when we have a capacity to access it, that's when we can really call forth some amazing, super creative stuff.
Now, okay, and we'll end on this. When do you have to ignore? Right? When is it where you don't take the lucid dreaming advice?
You know, you do it on occasion, and it's always a lesson because I hate to tell you, but listening to that inner awareness in the lucid dream, it is so often right. It is so often right, and that when you try, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the other. Then you realize, boy, it has a longer view, a broader view, and a greater perspective, and it just pays to attend to it. But again, we all have free choice. We have free choice, and you can experiment with it as you wish. Yeah.
You know, if my inner self goes, okay, so Jimmy, skydiving. No. Sorry, not gonna happen. But I do find that very interesting. And the other side of it is, I'm not sure what is going on, but deja vu and lucid dreaming are connected. And I almost feel like deja vu is a waking lucid dream.
Wow. Yeah. That's an interesting way of thinking about it. Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, because it's your brain, right? It's your brain. Yeah. And it's just so happens that, you know, your eyes are open and you're in the moment, but I think it's the same experience.
In any case, I think it just shows how deep the self is. I mean,
right.
It's just so much deeper and more profound than we normally accept it. And you need a technique, though. You need some special way, whether it's hypnosis or self-hypnosis or lucid dreaming or meditation or whatever it is. You need some way to access it. And when you do, you're just blown away. It's truly incredible.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the conversation tonight. And before we go, I've been talking about this a lot, but I have been, and I try to do it every day, okay, is getting on my motorcycle, it's a Harley, and driving without an objective. The objective is no distractions, no radio, no internet. It's just myself in my head. And getting into that, it's a meditative state. Now, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You got to drive. You got to stay alive. You can't crash. You got to do that. But all of that becomes second nature, right? Where you are completely aware of your surroundings, but you allow your head to go there. And there's a repetitive thing that goes on with the thumping of the engine and the wind, and there's this thing, and you are able to go there, and it's extraordinary. But what it teaches you is that you can achieve this state. You can get to this state, that the brain is a very, very magical thing, and the conscious and the soul is a very, very special, unique thing, and you can access it on your own if you practice it. And that's what I figured out. It is just a fun thing to do, and I really enjoy getting inside of my head. Now, you know what I don't do? I don't have the patience for it. I don't play meditation music and sit Indian style alone in a room, and burn incense and shut my eyes. And no, that's for crazy people. But I do the same thing on a bike. Isn't it crazy? It's like really weird. I have the patience for that, but not the other. So
do it on a Harley.
I know. How'd all this happen, dude? I was meditating at 80 miles an hour. I know. So anyway, Robert, thank you so much. Where can everybody reach out to you with their questions?
Yeah, you can go to my website, lucidadvice.com, or check me out on Amazon, or find me on LinkedIn. I'm out there.
Lucidadvice.com. Perfect show tonight, Robert. Thank you so much. Give my best to your wife. And I will talk to you soon. I look forward to the next conversation that we have. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Jimmy.
Robert Wagner. It is lucidadvice.com. The links are in the description below. They're over on our website, and we've got it up on social media. That was a fun, perfect show. Thank you so much, Robert. What is going on tomorrow night on Fade to Black? Tomorrow night, Geraldine Orozco is with us, and we are going to be talking about life force mastery, how to get there, how to do it, and all of that other stuff. It's going to be an amazing show tomorrow night with Geraldine. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Thank you, Dex. Thank you, Bill. I hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Jonacide. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Kevin. Congratulations, Debbie. Apparently, she's going to be a grandma by morning. That's amazing. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night with Geraldine Orozco, I want you to be safe. Go Backley Tappy.